God-sized story.
Hello and welcome to another episode of God-Sized Stories. This week, I have by far most likely, and I was saying this earlier, but I can't guarantee it without looking, but I think I can guarantee it, my oldest friend ever that's been on an episode of God-Sized Stories, Evan. Evan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like Craig said, we've been friends for, 25 years, something like that. We went to school together back at Sherlin School, little old Sherlin, good times. But currently I'm living in Champaign, Illinois with my wife. I have a brand new daughter. Went to Illinois State University before that, and then before that, high school, obviously, with Craig as well. But yeah, just enjoying life,
Yeah. As you were just saying, Evan, it's been a blessing to have you as a friend for going on about 25 years. As we were saying, I've known you in many different ways. I've known you as a friend. I've known you as, wedding buddies, because we've both been in each other's weddings in different ways, and those were a blast. And listeners of the show in the past may recognize your name. You were a very integral part of God bringing me to him. He used you tremendously in that way, which I shared in previous episodes. But today we're going to talk about you. And we're going to talk about a little bit of a theme in your life about seeing God in the little things throughout your life.
Yeah.
And we're going to just talk about a few different stories. Maybe give us one from early in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, for me, it's all about experiencing God in the little things. There's a lot of big moments in life where people are able to experience his love, which is great. And I've definitely had those. But I think that the more impactful things are the little things that I've had throughout my life. Back, from my early childhood, the way that I experienced God's love was through my parents. And I know that sounds like, oh yeah, everybody does. But for me, it was very much, I was raised in a very strong church community, and my parents were very supportive of me in everything that I did. And, I was really able to, at a young age, connect what I was hearing in the sermons about God's love for his people, really to the way that my parents were treating me as I was growing up. Whenever I had ideas, or my parents encouraged those. Whenever I had questions, they were able to answer them with love and patience. Whenever I wanted to do something, they were very supportive. And I think that, that was really my first real run-in with God's love, outside of the church community itself.
Mm-hmm. I would like to echo that as well about your parents. Your parents are just like, they're a couple that I looked at when I was getting married that I'm like, they get it. God has blessed their marriage. I want to emulate that as well. I've been blessed to know them through that as well. And just as you said, just seeing that, especially you got to really just sit in that growing up and just like steep in it and just experience it. A lot of people with myself, I didn't grow up with that. And I see that and I hear that from a lot of people is like, yeah, it's you kind of said it a little bit. It's like, it might not be the most exciting thing, but I hear those and I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's so exciting. Like, that makes me so happy to just see that and hear about people growing up with that background and that love in their life that just explodes from God. So let's fast forward then. What would be, middle time of your life example?
Yeah. So, which one to pick?
Yeah.
I would say, so, for the listeners out there, Craig and I, we used to go to a lot of work camps together back in the day throughout high school. And at those, we would go to a different town in the United States, whether it's down in Arizona or over in Pennsylvania or even close by just in Indiana. And we would go there for a week. We would team up with a bunch of other high schoolers, and our job that week would be to help fix up houses, whether we're building wheelchair ramps or painting houses or whatever the case is. We were there to really have a positive impact on the community. But also a part of that was really bringing all of those youth a lot closer to God. We had morning and evening services. There was music. It was just a really good time. After high school, I actually became a staff member at one of these, actually at I think 4 of work camps, one each year for the next 4 years. And my job was the worship leader. So my role was that every morning I would lead the camp in a couple of worship songs, and then at night I would do another 3 to 4 songs before we really dove into the service. Really, with this, this was me experiencing God's love, not as receiving it, but as like a conduit, as a way to give it. You really get a unique perspective when you're in front of 400 to 500 individuals, most of them high schoolers, and you're singing these praise songs and you're leading them. All of the youth that are there, you can talk to them, throughout the day. You can have conversations with them, but you really see them. In my experience, you get to see them in one of the most vulnerable states when they're singing those worship songs. Nobody's looking at them, nobody's judging them. They're just really feeling the Spirit. Mm-hmm. And so in that little way, in those little moments there, I was really able to kind of look out and feel as though I was doing my part to spread God's love, to all these high schoolers. And it was a great feeling.
I would definitely, I would agree with especially what you were saying there with the music. I've experienced that. I've had episodes in the past where I talk about that with the music and how you were just saying, like, nobody's looking at you in that moment. Like, you're connecting with God, and that's beautiful. What about, this last one, if the listeners were listening careful, they might have had a little tip into it as well. How about currently, right now, what's going on to this theme of the little things?
Yes. So in conjunction with the theme of the little things, if you were listening closely, you would have heard my daughter crying a little bit there. She is about 1 month old. She's brand new. Eleanor Shea is her name, and she is just perfect. So it's my wife and I's first child, and we couldn't be more blessed to have this beautiful little baby girl. And with having her, it's kind of a give and take. In my early life, I really experienced God's love being given to me. Later on in life, I was able to experience giving God's love. And with having this brand new baby, it's very much a give and take, and you think, well, what can a baby give? They don't know anything. Right. And it's true. And that's what's so beautiful about it. They don't know, but you can see it in their eyes that they just, their innocence and their love for you. It's an amazing thing. And then I'm able to turn that around and, do anything I can for her. To make sure that she knows that she's loved and will continue to be loved, throughout her whole life. And I'm really looking forward to those opportunities, to those little moments that I get to spend with her, when we're just coloring or playing a little game, and she gets to, even though she might not know it yet, she's going to be experiencing my love and God's love, through me. And it's a wonderful experience. Very proud new dad here.
I love as well, like, we talked about this theme in your life, but now this episode almost has a theme as well. In doing anything in life, I love bookends. You start with something, you end with, and it's like that kind of just happened now as well. I just realized where it's like, it started with this idea of sitting in a parent's love, and now it's obviously your story is not anywhere near close to being over, but our time about this point in your story is ending, and it's ending with that. Once again, now your daughter is going to be sitting steeping in that love, and you're just so excited. And it's like, I can look back and I could probably imagine your parents being in the same situation, just like so excited, but this is, we're talking in the early 90s and right. A lot different than now. And I'm just so blessed to know people that love and care about the little things. Because I agree, like you said earlier, like sometimes we can get wrapped up in the big things. And like you mentioned a few big things. Like you mentioned the camp that, we used to go to, and my story connects with a big event at those camps. But then to, look from the bird's eye view, like you were saying, of like the constant of the music, like that's, that's not the big upfront thing. It's the connecting moments, the small little things that people can just chip away at, just a little bit, chip away at. And I thank you for that, because as someone that's been affected by that majorly, I can guarantee there's probably many others that were affected by it that you'll never know in this life. And I'm sure you might have met a few that might have said something in those moments. But
yeah, absolutely. You know, there's certainly at sometimes in those moments, specifically the work camp ones, where people will, come up afterwards and, really, say thank you and really show their appreciation and that it's, that they really felt it, which is obviously very nice to hear those things, reinforces that what I'm doing is good.
Right.
But yeah, that's their little moments that they're having. And I mean, it's really the little things that you have to look forward to every day. You can't take a vacation every day,
Right.
And if you're only looking forward to a vacation once a year, then you're going to be spending most of your year going, man, I can't wait to get there. So you really got to have those little things to look forward to day in and day out. And, God's love doesn't disappoint. He's there day in and day out. And if you look for him, you'll find him. And, those little things are really what make life worth living.
Amen. I really want to encourage the audience right now, like, look for those little things. Like Evan just said, like, those are the things that can carry you through day to day. Like, and those little things can lead to big things. Like, I'll give an example between us that turned into a big thing. A little thing. You just invited me to hang out at a youth group event at a lock-in. That was a little thing. It's just like, oh, I know this guy. It'd be fun if he came. I'm going to invite him. Little, tiny. And it was one night of fun. It was awesome. We had a great time that night. I have many great memories. But that little thing snowballed eventually into a big event. And if it wouldn't have been for a little thing, you just inviting a friend to something,
wouldn't be having this conversation.
Change.
Yeah.
So, Evan, thank you so much for sharing all this with us about the little things. It just has put such a big smile on my face for such little things. And audience, thank you so much for listening. I couldn't do this without you. Goodbye.